be nervous. You can do this. You can do this, sweetie.
As a tax leader on reform, education, and job training, and innovative ideas to reinvest in our nation's distressed communities, United States Senator Tim Scott brings a unique perspective to the United States Senate. Growing up mired in poverty in a single-parent household, Senator Scott says that he is living his mother's American dream, and through his opportunity agenda works every single day to ensure every single American family has the opportunity to succeed. Prior to public service, Senator Scott built a successful small business of his own. He was first elected to the Charleston County Council, then to the South Carolina State House, and then to the U.S. House of Representatives. In January of 2013, Senator Scott was sworn in as United States Senator from the South Carolina and was recently re-elected in November of 2022. An unbridled optimist, Senator Scott has been a tireless advocate for creating more opportunities for families living paycheck to paycheck and helping children who are mired in poverty have access to quality education. He launched his Opportunity Agenda, a legislative package aimed at achieving these goals, and the Senate Opportunity Coalition, a group of senators committed to helping those in need. As he begins his next term, Senator Scott continues his mission to positively affect the lives of billions of people with the hope and opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senator Tim Scott.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Be quick. Hello, Charleston! It is good to be home. Thank you very much. Y'all have a seat. Ms. Rivers, please stay here for 1 second. Now, it is always good to be home. It is always good to have an introduction. But my goodness, I am so thankful. Come here, young lady. Ms. Rivers, I'm Tim Scott.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. Ms. Rivers, may I ask you a couple of questions?
Yes.
How old are you?
10 years old.
Now, let me just say this before y'all clap. I am so thankful that there is an age requirement for competition in the United States Senate, if you get my drift. Ms. Rivers, what do you want to do when you grow up?
Be a realtor and graduate from college.
Be a realtor and graduate from college. I started a real estate company. If I still had, I'd give it to you, because that was impressive.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, I was sitting there thinking to myself, when I was 10 years old, I'd have freaked out. You understand what I'm saying? Did you freak out a little bit too?
Yes.
Well, you couldn't tell, though. You were fantastic. Let's give her one more round of applause. Thank you so much. You did a wonderful job. My goodness. The future is so bright, we got to wear shades. I tell you what, that is a wonderful, wonderful introduction. Thank you so much, ma'am, Ms. Rivers. And Benjamin, the Citadel president, thank you for your incredibly kind and generous words. I will tell you, as a big fan of the Citadel, one of the people that changed my life, certainly my mother was the number one person, but I had a great mentor who graduated from the Citadel in 1969 who taught me to see myself differently. You think about, this does not count against my 20 minutes, by the way. And I'll come back in a minute. But stand up, Benjamin. You think about the story of Joseph, and you think about the power of hope when you're in a hole where no one seems to care who you are, where you're going, and if you ever come out. And through the grace of God and the course of history, you find yourself in a powerful position to pay them back, The most natural thing to do in life, it feels like, the instinct we have is to pay them back. But the story of Joseph is more powerful than simply getting even. The story of Joseph is about getting ahead, but not just for yourself, but for an entire nation of people. If we have young people educated and immersed in the power of our scriptures, with the ability to think for yourself, our future is incredibly bright. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Now, they told me if I left the podium, you couldn't see me. If you can't see me, you really do need some glasses. Let me say to my beautiful mother, who just passed 50 years of working at the Roper St. Francis Hospital this week. God bless you, Mama. Now, I was sitting in a banking hearing when the Secretary of the Treasury suggested a poor, too early for the applause, my man, too early. Suggested that poor black women would be better off having an abortion to improve their economic position. To the single mother below the poverty line who chose life, thank you. We live in the most amazing country on earth, and sometimes we don't appreciate it. And I'm here to tell you that there is a lot of reasons why we should celebrate Black History Month. And there's no better place to celebrate Black history than in the place where the Civil War started, Charleston, South Carolina. Because if you want to understand America, that's a pretty good applause line there, man. I'm gonna just stay by you because I can get my applause just wound up for me. If you want to understand America, you need to start in Charleston. You need to understand and appreciate the devastation brought upon African Americans. We need to understand the journey that happened through Charleston. But if you stop at our original sin, you have not started the story of America. Because the story of America is not defined by our original sin. The story of America is defined by our redemption. If I'm sick and tired of people telling me how bad it is. Now, I'm not here to suggest that things could not get better, and I'm going to work every single day to make sure that all Americans play on a level playing field. That has not always been the case. But today is not 1865. Today is not 1923. We have made tremendous progress, and it's time that we as a people celebrate the progress we are making. Now, for you to appreciate the journey that I'm talking about is to understand the journey that starts in my family in 1921, when my grandfather was born. He was born in 1921 in Sally, South Carolina, a very rural southern town in the Jim Crow South. When he was walking on a sidewalk, he had to walk off if a white person came by. If he was walking by, you could not look a white person in the eyes. In the 3rd grade, his education was done because there was no need for an educated black child. So he started picking cotton. I thank God Almighty, hear me clearly, that he believed then what some seem to doubt now, that there is goodness in America. How does a man in the 1930s who looks like me but better looking, it ain't that funny, but how does a man in the 1930s growing up in the Deep South who understands the indignities of life in a way that I've never understood it, persevere with a stubborn hope? Because his hope was not found in his cranial cavity. His hope was passed down to him from generations of stubborn people who had a stubborn faith, who believed that one day, somehow, things would get better. And my mother, his daughter, I won't even say when she was born, I almost got in trouble there. Brother almost lost a mic. Just about lost a mic right there. Born in a time when she was a little girl, she could walk up to a water fountain and not be able to drink from it. She would go to stores and not be able to enter. She could walk in the back of the restaurant, but not through the front door. So I'm not talking about something that hasn't impacted me. My 8th grade year at Alice Burney Middle School, there was a race riot at my high school where my brother was. So I understand the devastation of what we're talking about in this nation. But if you just stop there, you have stopped short of the truth. Because the truth is that all of God's children have to persevere. The truth is we all have a story to tell. And one of the reasons why I tell my personal stories so often is I want to have connective tissue as we debate the future of this nation. And without that connective tissue, we come to false conclusions prematurely. So let me fast forward. I'm so thankful that my grandfather, born in 1921, died 7 years ago, who picked cotton as a kid, but believed with his stubborn faith in America, he lived long enough to see his grandson pick out a seat in the United States Congress. You see, it is the reason why I say from cotton to Congress in one lifetime. Because the whole story matters. But there are folks today who seem to profit and benefit from the division in our nation. You know, I am proud to be an American. I am proud to my soul to be an American. So proud. So proud. I'm also proud of the progress that we have made. We have made tremendous progress in the last 50 years or so. Now, I will tell you, though, As a kid, 7 years old, my parents divorced and I moved back to South Carolina from Michigan. I can't say that I was always proud. I can't say I don't understand and appreciate the challenges that come to you. As a 7-year-old kid, we moved into my grandparents' house, and my mother, my brother, and I are sharing one room and one bed for a few years. I got to tell you, I was frustrated and disillusioned and challenged to my core. Was there truly an opportunity for a kid who looked like me, born on the wrong side of the tracks, to ever amount to anything? I thought the answer was no. And so I lived a life of no. No chance, no opportunity, and no hope. In today's America, there are folks who want to spread the cancer of hopelessness throughout our nation. And it is destroying the very foundation on which we stand. And as a hopeless kid from 7 to 14, as some of you heard the story before, I basically failed out my freshman year of high school because there was no reason for me to pay attention. So at Stall High School, go Warriors, I failed. You got to give your home team a little shout out sometimes. I failed world geography, and I think I'm the first senator to ever fail civics, the study of politics. I got to tell y'all, though, after almost 10 years in the U.S. Senate, I am not the only one failing civics in the United States Congress or Senate. A lot of people are failing both, civics and geography. I also failed Spanish and English. When you fail Spanish and English, don't nobody call you bilingual. They call you ignorant because you can't speak in any language. But that's where I found the seeds of hope. My mama planted those seeds in me. She would always say, shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you're among the stars. She said it once, she said it 1,000 times. I didn't listen to her. She knows it. We both know it. Sorry, Mama. I'm getting it over it right now. But at the end of my freshman year, after not listening to her and after not paying attention, she introduced me to a new form of encouragement. It was near a tree. Take a branch, take the leaves off. For those of you unfamiliar with the South, there's a Southern apparatus of encouragement called a switch. But the second part of that story is a Citadel guy who ran the Chick-fil-A who happened to be white, who saw something in me that I could not find in myself. And he started mentoring me. You see, the story of America isn't that original sin. It is a story of redemption. And for 4 years, he taught me very valuable principles like having a job is a good thing, but creating jobs is a better thing. Know the difference between an income and a profit. A profit could change your community. An income determines the quality of your lifestyle. Valuable lessons. I just wonder today, if I heard in all the echo chambers everywhere I went, how bad things are, how divided we are, would I even have tried? We today want to discount the person because of the look of the person. Sometimes we just dismiss people because of what they look like. I know how that feels as an African American, but now I understand how it feels as a conservative. Listen, I understand being treated as a second-class citizen because of the color of my skin. I refuse to be treated as a second-class citizen because of the color of my party. I'm not playing that game twice. I ain't doing it twice. I refuse for us to sit around and pretend like red or blue is the new black and white. We can't do that twice. I refuse for us to sit around and ponder whether or not we can make it together. As my mama taught me, it's a lie from the pit of hell. Or as my chief says, Gehenna. Same thing. So I got to tell you, because of a great mentor and a fabulous mother, fabulous mom, my life started turning around. I never failed another subject the rest of the time. Earned a small football scholarship, very small, and ended up in college. Praise the Lord. Thank God for football getting you in. You got to study to get out. I get it. But I'll tell you, America opened doors for me. And I believe that America's opened doors for you. You see, my story is the American story. It's embedded in American history. It's not a unique story, though. Millions upon millions of Americans can tell you about the pain of their past that birthed the promise of their future. Millions and millions of Americans can tell you that obstacles came first and the opportunities came second. But there is a cycle in the current America where people want you to believe what they say in spite of what you see. They want you to believe that all things economically are perfect. And you can see the 13.5% inflation impacting your pockets. You can feel the 40% impact of gas prices and the 20% plus in your electricity and the 20% plus in your food. You see, there are challenges that we must confront together. And economically, we can make incredible strides if we understand and appreciate the necessity of turning the federal spigot off. $4 trillion spent led us to raging inflation. And then today, literally today, we are protected by men and women in uniform in this building. And we should thank God that there are people willing to do the job that very few want to do. We should thank the police. I'm here to testify. Thank God for those of you willing to protect all of us. Thank you, ma'am, very much. Sirs, thank you very much. But see, there is a force, an insidious force that wants you to believe that all officers are bad. But if that is true, then there is no way to stop chaos from happening in our communities. I like people running into the fire when everybody else is running out. And for those who do not do that, we should punish them to the fullest extent of the law. And as I continue to work on police reform, I look for ways to make sure that there's better training, better resources, and only the best wear the badge. And if we do that, we'll be in a better country. I believe that a good education is the closest thing to magic in America. But today, too many kids in the poorest zip codes are stuck in failing schools. They deserve better. And here's the good news. Here's the good news. 68% of Democrats, 67% of independents, 75% of Republicans, 72% of African American parents, 74% of Hispanic parents, 80% of Asian parents all agree on school choice. The GOP, the Great Opportunity Party, better be the party of parents. We should stand up and say every parent deserves a choice so that every single child has a chance. That's how we change America. The future of success in this nation will be defined not by the color of your skin, but by the quality of your education. And that's why I continue to tell my story, the good parts and the bad parts. All the ugliness, challenges of growing up in devastated communities. But it's also why when I work on my opportunity agenda, I started with things like creating opportunity zones, which has brought nearly $50 billion, private sector dollars, back into the poorest communities with less than a 5% gentrification, so that we can empower people to be as independent as possible, to be as successful as possible because of their willingness to do what it takes to work, but also to make sure that the playing field is as level as possible. And in just 2019, we saw $29 billion invested in opportunity zones, leading to the lowest level of poverty in the history of the country. You see, I know better days are coming. I can tell you why. Because I have seen those better days in my lifetime. I'll close with this. From 2016 to 2019, I was in what we call the majority. We had a chance to show the nation what we could do. And what did we focus on? We did it once, we'll do it again, by the way. We brought funding for historically black colleges and universities to the highest level in the history of the country. Now, we didn't tell anybody, but we did it. We should have told somebody. We made the funding for HBCUs for the first time in the history of the country permanent. My office, we led new legislation around sickle cell anemia. We championed the cause of heirs property. I wrote the personal side of the tax bill that just passed in 2018. We brought a single mama's taxes, like the one that raised me, down by over 70% on her federal taxes. We brought the taxes down on a dual income earners by 60+%. We promised to deliver $4,000. We delivered $4,400 on average to families. And at the same time, with lower taxes, we had more revenue going to the federal government. There is a way for us to unify this country around basic principles that lead us forward and not backwards. But we have to quit buying the lie that this is the worst time in American history. Only if American history started today can that be true. Because if my grandfather could have stubborn faith and believe in the goodness of America, if my mama can look at a water fountain that she can't drink from and believe in America, if I can, as a poor kid growing up in a single-parent household, lost as a goose in a rainstorm, end up as your United States Senator, we should have faith in America. Our time is now. And I'll tell you this, the future is incredibly bright. It is incredibly bright. We will make another American century. With the right policies, they will be helpful. We don't spend what we don't have buying things we can't afford, trying to please people who will never be happy. We'll be better off. But America does not depend on the American government. America has always lived and breathed by the hope of the American people. And if we, the people, stand up and command our country and our government, I believe the next American century starts here, it starts now, and it starts with you. God bless you. Thank you so much. you again. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, man. Carol, here. Greg.
Let's give the senator another round of applause. That was really, really good. Really, really good. Now, I saw the senator's mother